I'm from the US, but I've been living in Mexico for about a year, and today we're going to be talking about some stereotypes about Mexico that are completely false. None of these stereotypes are true, and yet they are widely believed by not just people from the US, but many other places around the world too. And it's time to tell the world the truth, and prove it with video evidence. And hopefully, put an end to these stupid stereotypes. The first completely false stereotype is that everyone in Mexico rides donkeys, wears sombreros, and drinks tequila. This is obviously not true at all. This is probably the dumbest of all stereotypes ever. However, if you were to ask someone from the US, they probably still believe this on some level. Mexico has airports, public transportation, and millions of cars. Donkeys still exist in rural areas, but they're almost never used as a form of transportation. There are people that ride horses though, which I'm sure is really fun, but not donkeys, unless maybe you're on a tour down a giant canyon or something. The next ridiculously untrue stereotype is that nobody follows rules in Mexico, which is number 2 on the list. While regulations and enforcement may differ from the US, Mexico has laws, courts, police, tax authorities, and government institutions just like any other modern nation. In fact, my wife just looked up shoplifting statistics for a video she's doing about grocery stores, and as it turns out, people are much more likely to shoplift in the US than in Mexico. Mexicans are not criminals. They're hardworking, kind-hearted, honest people, and they deserve better. Another dumb stereotype, and number 3 on the list, is that Mexican homes are primitive. I feel like many people from the US still imagine Mexicans living in pueblos or little huts, which is laughably stupid, and of course it's not true at all. Many people from the US might be surprised to find modern homes, gated communities, and luxury apartments in Mexico. Homes in Mexico are actually built to a much higher standard than the US, because here in Mexico, plywood construction is literally never used on homes. However, in the US, plywood is used all the time. The next stereotype, and probably the easiest one to disprove, is the 4th completely false stereotype, that Mexico has no good infrastructure. Mexico, in fact, has beautiful infrastructure. Just open your eyes, view the incredible parks, roads, and bridges. It's hard to ignore all the impressive infrastructure. Just see for yourself. And by no means is this even close to the best that Mexico has to offer. This is just footage from me in a normal town in Mexico. The parks here are beautifully maintained. There's art being displayed, people relaxing, playing sports. The environment here is very chill. Which brings us to number 5, the next stereotype, which is again 100% false. It's that you can't drive safely in Mexico. This is something that has a lot of people from the US worried before they visit Mexico. I was actually warned by people about this, but of course, the roads are perfectly safe. I have seen a total of 0 bandits and no robbers or anything else that would make me feel unsafe. And I've driven all over Mexico many times. I've driven in the dense city traffic of Monterrey. I've driven all over small towns like Matehuala and San Miguel. And I've driven many hours down the long highways through the countryside. And the only difference between driving here and driving in the United States is that in Mexico, there aren't speed traps at every turn. I actually didn't see any speed traps at all. I don't think that's even a thing in Mexico. But honestly, there are many places in the US that I'd be more worried about driving in. The 6th false stereotype is that everything in Mexico is cheap. Unfortunately, this is something I actually used to think. However, many products can be more expensive, especially if they're imported, such as clothes, shoes, and other various products. Now, some things are less expensive in Mexico, but they're mostly services. For example, I recently had my exhaust fixed in San Miguel de Allende at a place called American Muffles. And the specific work I had done would have cost me around $500 USD where I'm from in the US. But here in Mexico, the price was only $113 USD, and that includes a 3% foreign transaction fee with my bank. And look at the work that was done. It's a masterpiece. I had been driving around with my exhaust taped with exhaust tape, which worked for a long time, but I really wanted a proper fix, and only in Mexico was I actually able to afford it. The 7th not true stereotype, and maybe the weirdest on this list, is that Mexico is decades behind the USA. This stereotype is basically just propaganda. I don't even know what this stereotype is in reference to, but I've heard it many times. I can easily say after being in Mexico for some time now, there is literally nothing in the US that Mexico doesn't also have. In fact, there's a lot of stuff Mexico has that nowhere in the world has. The 8th stereotype, which is just another dumb lie, is the entire country shuts down so that everyone can take an afternoon nap, or a siesta. Like, honestly, who believes this stuff? The stereotype of a sleepy Mexican is so ridiculously stupid. I think some people think of Mexico as if it's like a cartoon or something. Mexicans are hardworking, dedicated people, and literally no businesses close down for a nap break. You know who does like to take naps though? I do. I'm a gringo, and I'm the only person I know that likes to take naps. So stereotypes aren't anything to base your beliefs on, and they're basically never true. So don't listen to anyone that perpetuates these stereotypes. Instead, just get out of your bubble, explore some unfamiliar places, and find out for yourself. Number 9 on the list of stupid stereotypes is, visitors will inevitably get violently ill with traveler's diarrhea, which is sometimes called Montezuma's revenge, just by visiting. This is not true, but you can get sick anywhere. However, I can say that I have definitely not had anything like that at all after all the time I've spent here in Mexico. This, in my opinion, is kind of like a scare tactic to trick people into being afraid of visiting Mexico. But on the bright side, in Mexico there is universal healthcare for all of its citizens and residents. And even if you're just visiting, you should know that Mexico has the best doctors in the world. Plus, the prices for medical care and pharmaceuticals is very affordable in comparison with the USA. So you're not more likely to get sick than if you were anywhere else in the world. But if you do, you're in the best place for it. And the 10th nonsensical stereotype is that people are perpetually late, operating entirely on quote-unquote Mexican time. Which is not true, of course. People anywhere always make time for the things that are important to them. But also, some cultures are just less rigid about punctuality. And likewise, some cultures are just more understanding about delays. I mean, we've all got lives to live, and sometimes things can get in the way of being on time. But people in Mexico have been very punctual from my perspective. If you look past the tired Hollywood tropes of dusty deserts, you find a society with a deeply grounded understanding of what actually matters in life. The real magic of Mexico is its people, who treat hospitality not as a polite obligation, but as a baseline setting for daily interactions. It's a place where a simple walk down the street comes with genuine greetings and easy conversations with strangers. Life here revolves around a fierce devotion to family, with multiple generations routinely showing up for one another, ensuring nobody has to navigate hard times alone. There's also a uniquely Mexican blend of resourcefulness, sharp wit, and grit that allows people to solve practically any problem with a smile, pairing with an intense work ethic and an absolute refusal to let stress harden their disposition. They work incredibly hard, yet they refuse to buy into the toxic hustle culture, fiercely protecting their time for community, celebrations, and la sombresa, the art of lingering around a table long after a meal is finished. It's a way of living that honors connection over the corporate grind, proving that human relationships are the true currency of a happy life. If you're still watching, please like the video and let me know in the comments where you're at or where you'd like to travel to. And please subscribe. Alright, till next time.